Hi guys, welcome back. This is Matt Chat number 34, featuring a sci-fi first-person shooter role-playing game. Can you guess it? Yes! Irrational Games System Shock 2.
Look at you, hacker. A pathetic creature of meat and bone, panting and sweating as you run through my corridors. How can you challenge a perfect, immortal machine? In 2072, a rogue artificial intelligence known as Shodan lost her mind. In her limitless imagination, Shodan saw herself as a goddess, destined to inherit the earth. That image was snuffed out by the hacker who created her.
February 3rd is the day the magic happens. The Von Braun, the first starship in history capable of traveling at faster than light speed, will undertake her maiden voyage. This incredible journey is the result of teamwork between the UNN Protectorate and the incredible scientific minds at the newly relicensed Tri-Optimum Corporation. Imagine being able to travel to distant star systems in a period of weeks. It's all part of Tri-Op's commitment to the future. The Von Braun is packed with over 1.8 billion flight, scientific, and security systems, nearly all developed by Tri-Optimum and its wholly owned subsidiaries. Providing security for the Von Braun as she plows through the heavens will be the UNN Rickenbacker. At her helm will be no less than Captain William Bedford Diego himself, hero of the Battle of Boston Harbor during the Eastern States Police action. This incredible union of government and corporation is made possible by an intricate series of docking mechanisms that will allow the Rickenbacker to piggyback its way into jump space. Sleek, fast, revolutionary. Who knows what wonders await our crews in the bosom of the cosmos? All we do know is that it's a great day for mankind.
Now, I know a lot of you guys have been looking forward to System Shock 2. It's a favorite game. I know a lot of you guys love this game, and with good reason. It's a great game. It does a wonderful job of combining the thrills of first-person shooter games with the leveling up and skills of a role-playing game and even adventure game puzzles. There's just a lot going on here, and it's all done really well and very smart. It's a very good game. The story behind it is rather convoluted. It really begins in 1992 with the publication of a game called Ultima Underworld. You probably thought I was going to say Doom. Actually, Ultima Underworld, developed by Blue Sky Studios, later known as Looking Glass, was developed Ultima Underworld. And it came out right around the same time as Doom. So there's a nice overlap there. We could talk about that all day, though. But what's interesting about Ultima Underworld was it was a real-time, continuous motion, however you want to describe it, a role-playing game. You could do things like swim, jump, look up, look down. There are lots of interesting things in this game. Very innovative interface. And it wasn't a very big hit. Some people blame that on the rather steep PC requirements it took to run this game. Now, another tidbit I'll throw in here is that Ultima Underworld was not originally supposed to be an Ultima game or a sequel to anything. But when Blue Sky approached Origin, they decided to go ahead and make it part of the Ultima franchise. We'll see that pattern again soon. And then in 1994, Looking Glass published, developed the first System Shock. Now, I was playing this game this morning, and I was very struck by how similar the gameplay mechanics feel to Ultima Underworld. But, you know, it's a lot different, of course. It's not fantasy like Ultima Underworld. In fact, it's a science fiction story, and a really good story. And that's what drew people to the first System Shock. Of course, in 1998, the same company developed Thief. Thief is a really good example of another FPS hybrid, except this time we have a sort of a stealth. Stealth meets the first-person shooter genre. Now, if you've never played Thief, you should check it out. There's a lot of emphasis in that game on staying in the shadows and being really clever with your strategies and stuff. It's sort of a thinking man's first-person shooter game, if you will. Finally, we're up to 1999, and we get this game, System Shock 2. Now, just like Ultima Underworld, System Shock 2 was not originally designed to be a sequel to anything. In fact, it would be original property, but when Irrational approached Electronic Arts, they decided to go ahead and make it part of this up-and-coming System Shock franchise. And again, like Ultima Underworld, it didn't do as well as people hoped. But years later, the magazines and gamers and critics and historians have latched on to System Shock 2, recognized it for the great and innovative and very influential game that it has become. Anyway, we've got a lot to cover here, so let's play System Shock 2.
Welcome to the Ramsey Center UNN recruitment facility. Please watch your step when leaving the train. The grav shafts at the end of the hall will take you to the street-level training and recruitment center. Please proceed to the grav shafts.
Now, like most games of modern times, this one begins with a sort of hand-holding tutorial sequence, but I still think they did a really good job with it. This opening reminds me very much of the old Traveler role-playing system.
Before you choose your career, you'll want to learn some basic abilities. First, you should go into the...
Basically, what's going to happen here is that the game is going to familiarize me with the interface, of course, and then I'll get to select a career, and then make some choices that will affect my starting character's development. So let's skip ahead there.
Here's where you make your choice, soldier. Here's where you enlist in one of the 3 branches of the military. Once you decide on your branch of service, there's no going back. A shuttle will take you to a UNN
now,
orbital...
As you can see, you basically have 3 career paths here. Navy, which is technical and science-oriented. The psionics career, which is telekinesis, magic, basically. Or the Marines, which is the sort of default soldier shooting stuff with a gun character. Now we get to make some decisions about how the character has spent his years of training. What missions has he gone on? Where has he been? What has he learned? And these will in turn affect our starting stats. Again, very reminiscent of the Traveler role-playing system.
The Navy maintains a survival training school on the surface of Io, the 3rd moon of Jupiter. Pros, there's no better way to improve stamina and survival skills. Cons, the 21.2% mortality rate. Plus, you've got to spend the year with a bunch of Navy skanks.
Now, after you've made those tough decisions about how your character has spent his first tours of duty, we find ourselves on board this ship. And obviously something terrible has happened. Our character has been in cryogenic sleep, has woken up to disaster. Fortunately, our main character is quite resourceful, and you can develop him in several different ways. You can go the cybernetic route, the psionic route, the weapons route. You have a lot of options here, and this is what really makes this game cool. Here I'm looking at some of the upgrades that I can put on my character. Of course, these upgrades will cost me, and like any good role-playing game, I can't be good at everything. And so you have to always think about the skills that you're going to need, and also the way that you want to specialize your character. Now, like in most modern first-person shooter games, a lot of the story emerges in the form of information panels that we find, computer logs, journals, audio diaries. There's a lot of, if you're familiar with games like Doom 3 and Bioshock, a lot of this will be familiar to you. You've probably picked up on the horror theme here. It is a pretty scary game. It's not for the squeamish, and there's more than a little bit of the paranormal.
Can somebody let me out? I can't find my card. Please, let me out of here.
Now, I haven't showed you much combat yet, so let's take a look at some of the early battles.
Kill me!
These early monsters are pretty easy to kill unless they get the jump on you. Unfortunately, all I have is this wrench, I was able to find a pistol a little bit later on, but there's so few bullets that I still ended up using my wrench. You know, these sort of odd zombie-like mutants running around here that are, sometimes they'll say things like go away or run away so they can't control what they're doing. And again, reminded me very strongly of Bioshock, whose developers, of course, admit that they were inspired by this game.
Silence the discord.
There's definitely plenty of scary moments in this game. That's all for this week's Matt Chat. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a happy Halloween, and remember, logic dictates. The need of the many outweigh the need of the few.